Hey, it's Brad with Blue Nile Farm. I want to talk real quickly about round bales and the benefits of them based upon different sizes. You know, here today I have a 4x4 bale, and this will yield about 10 to 12 square bales. And in my area of Northeastern Ohio, these round bales are probably have more benefits because it fits the small farmer role, meaning that a lot of people that have sheep, goats, horses, they can buy a 4x4 round bale that yields probably for $40 to $60 a piece. They have about 10 to 12 square bales in capacity based on the density and their true size. And what's nice about them is that they are about 500 to 600 pounds, and you can actually move them around. And it's something a small property owner or farmer can do. I like to use them out in the horse fields for myself, and I like to make 4x4s because when I put them out to feed, I go about through 4 of them a week with 20 horses, and it works out really well for me. It's easier to handle, but I have the equipment to move them around too. And what I like about it is they're small enough that they can eat them quickly and always can replace them with a fresh bale. When you have too big of a bale, they sit outside and they don't get consumed as quickly. And again, weather will be a factor. So bales 4x4 are smaller, they have advantages, and a lot of it is for the small farmer. You know, one of the benefits of having a small farm a lot of times is you have a lot of smaller equipment. And with that, most of them have the ability to get a quick attach if they have any type of loader, bale spear. And bale spears pretty much are universal. It doesn't matter if you have a 25 or 20 horsepower tractor to one that's 100 horse. You know, a lot of times these bale spears will work on any machine. So handling a 4x4 bale is relatively pretty simple. Some people don't even have a tractor, and they actually take these round bales. They'll put maybe 1 to 2 of them in a pickup truck. They'll purchase them from me, drive home, and roll them off their truck, and actually roll them out into the field or into the barn and feed it out as necessary. And there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, make do with what you have. But what's nice about 4x4 bales are smaller is that anybody can handle them. And it does not matter. Horses eat them, cows eat them, goats, sheep, it doesn't matter. The biggest part of it is to manage how you feed it out. In my opinion, if you have horses and you put them on pasture, anytime a bale is covered is going to be a benefit. When the bales aren't covered, you know, rain and weather gets into them and it kind of affects the bale. Moving them around, you know, it's not uncommon for people to just roll them across the field. You know, and that's the benefit of small bales. So assuming we're out in the field, make sure you set your bales upright first, especially if they're string tied or even if they're net wrap tied, but mostly either one. First thing is, if you have net wrap, you want to take the net wrap off. Cut it and peel it off and make sure you get every bit of it off. If you have a string tied bale, a lot of times they're either in 1 or 2 pieces, meaning these bales here start at the top and they unravel. They go halfway down, they go all the way down, and they come halfway up, and then the whole string comes out. There's 2 sets of strings. Some bales have a string that starts at the top and goes halfway down, and then another one that starts separately at the bottom and goes halfway up. So depending on how your bales are set, there's the ways you're going to take out the string. So, and that's one of the most important things you do when you get your bales out in the field to be fed, is make sure you remove all the string and then net wrap. So once you have all your string removed, make sure you get it off the bale. One of my biggest pet peeves I have with people is that every time they feed their animals, there's people out there that will take a round bale, put it out in the field to their animals and not take the string off. You're playing with Russian roulette, because at one time you're going to have your animals get injured or they're killed because you left string on the bales. You know, horses will trip, fall, get this caught around their strangulation hazards around the body limbs, around their necks, and people leave this stuff out there and it gets in the mud. And it's just a tripping hazard. So it's just a matter of time before something gets hurt or strangled. So do me a favor, take all the string off your bales, get all the net wrap off, because the net wrap's a choking hazard. So you need to remove that too. So if you're a livestock owner, it's just a matter of time before one of these mishaps take place and you're going to cost yourself dearly. So, and it's just pure laziness. There's no reason not to take the string off. Take it off, and don't give me an excuse like, well, it keeps the bale together. Hate to break the news to you. As soon as they start eating it, it's going to all get loose. And this stuff is very hard to break. I can't break it. If it's 2 strands, there's no way. So all you have to do is get an animal wrapped up. They can't get out. So do yourself a favor. Please, please, please. take off the string. That'll be the best thing I can tell you as far as good livestock management. You guys, make sure you do this little thing too. Do not cut these strings. You know, it's way better to learn to unravel the string. You know, normally strings, they go counterclockwise to the way the bale goes. So if you're looking at the top of a bale and it's sitting upright and you see it going in a clockwise position, the odds are you're going to unwrap it the opposite way. And normally there's probably 1 or 2 strings that go with it. And like I say, really, once you learn the pattern of it, all the bales that you would buy or use would be relatively the same. But if you cut it and you leave string in there, then you're leaving a potential for choking hazards or still a tripping hazard. So do yourself a favor and learn how to unravel. And it'll be so much better for you, and you'll at least be able to sleep at night knowing that you're doing the right thing. So when you're out in your field and you got your string off, you got to place these bales in a proper position. This is not the proper position to keep them out in the field uncovered. Now if I have a hay hut or something, I like to leave them upright like this, and so the hay falls easily off. But the problem is these bales are not designed to be set up like this, because what will happen is it'll rain and it'll actually start going through the entire bale and it will soak through and your bale's ruined. And it's just not the way to manage it. So do not leave them in a field like this at all. You have to flip them over on their side and make them concave. This is how the bale should be. It should be concave, so the water, when it rains, will actually roll off the top of this bale. So if the animals start eating off the sides and stuff, at least the water will shed off of it the best it can. And this is the way they're designed to be. Now, in my opinion, if I was putting bales out and it was going to rain, I would definitely put a cover or tarp over them to keep them from being rained on. Even if I set them in the ground, I'd want to put them on a pallet or even a boarded pallet and leave them up so they're off the ground so groundwater does not catch into your bales. You know, be smart where you place your bales too. Don't put them in a low-lying area where water comes. Make sure they're elevated off the ground. That's the safest thing I can tell you to keep them fresh. Because the benefits of round bales is they're cheaper to get, and it is true. But the problem is that they're not cheaper if you waste them and you're losing your money. You know, this is the difference between rounds and squares. Squares are premium hay. You're paying for every square bale you get. When you deal with round bales, you're getting a few extra bales for a cheaper price. That's the benefit. But if you're wasting it, you're wasting using these. You know, these are time savers or labor savers. You know, you don't have to go through all the work of the squares. They're easier to store. They're cheaper. You know, and the bigger the bale, sure, it's going to be cheaper. But the problem is that you have to be able to manage it. So hopefully that this gave you guys a good understanding of round bales, how the 4x4s work, and why they have their benefits. Now, if you're a bigger operation out west, you may deal with 4x5 bales all the time, but the problem is you're going to need equipment. And for most of the small farmers, these 4x4 bales are the way to go, and they're easy to manage. And as a hay producer and as a rebaler, it doesn't matter to me. To me, I find more value in selling 4x4s than I will ever be to sell the bigger bales. So 4x4 bales are better for me to produce because it's easier for me to sell. And so that's the benefit of having these. So if you had a choice of actually putting your round bales out in the field uncovered or unmanaged and just roll them out there, that's fine. But I personally would rather have them in some kind of structure where there's a ring around the base, keeping the hay from getting pulled out and also keeping the animals from rubbing against the bale and actually defecating on the hay. Also, I think it's also best to have some kind of roof system on it to keep the weather out. If you can manage it with the roof and the ring, believe me, you'll be saving tons of hay, and you'll find out that round bales is a very economical alternative to feeding versus feeding squares. But again, it comes down to management. Thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys soon.